To be honest, I wouldn't read into it very much at all. It's certainly not uncommon for a country to abstain in votes like this. I think what certainly gives us continued confidence is the fact that financing for the project has been approved. It's an additional $4 billion worth of financing for Phase 2 of the underground mine. Oyu Tolgoi, as you referenced, it is the world's largest underdeveloped gold and copper mine. And we're very happy to see that it looks like the mine is finally going to go into commercial production by June of this year. And in its first year of production, will be supplying close to a quarter of the region's copper demand.
Just days ago, a Deputy Minister for Economic Development out of Mongolia saying the country there could face a catastrophe, his words not mine, if the funding dispute is not resolved. There have been disagreements on taxes, there have been cost overruns, there's been management controls, seeing a one-month stopgap budget. How do you discern this project really takes flight, or does it actually kind of quietly get scuttled?
Look, I really don't think there's much chance of that being scuttled whatsoever. Surely the project has faced a number of hurdles, a number of challenges in the past. We've seen a change in government in Mongolia over the last 12 months after parliamentary elections last year. The current government, a number of ministers did go to the polls on a populist and nationalist sentiment, highlighting the potential for resource nationalism. Fortunately, we've seen both the Prime Minister and the President of Mongolia state publicly between December and then January of this year that the government is not looking to renegotiate its ownership stakehold within the project. And quite frankly, we're very pleased about discussions that have transpired when the Government of Mongolia, Oyu Tolgoi, management, Turquoise Hill and Rio Tinto, when all stakeholders have really begun to come together over the course of the last 3 weeks and really sit down and constructively address a number of issues surrounding the implementation of the investment agreement. And fortunately, we think it's very good that this has come to a head, and we expect that these issues certainly will be resolved. They have to be resolved before commercial production, and it gives us, as I said, renewed confidence that the government is now taking a constructive approach to these discussions.
Can I just ask you as well, I just want to put to you though, if I could,
well, a huge windfall.
Can I put to you that we have a presidential election there in June? We have the Director General of Resource Investment Capital saying, whilst Armageddon's been averted, quote, there is no assurance it will not emerge very soon and unexpectedly. How do you respond to those concerns?
Well, I don't share those concerns. As I mentioned, I think the current discussions have been very constructive. Recent comments by both Rio Tinto, Oyu Tolgoi, Turquoise Hill and the Government of Mongolia indicate that all of their interests are aligned. It is expected the mine will go into production, and which, to be perfectly honest, the government is heavily reliant upon. Revenue generated from tax dollars relating to the export of Oyu Tolgoi resources is already in current budgets and in budget forecasts for future years to come. At the moment, there are no other extremely large mining projects in the country. Oyu Tolgoi is the biggest mining project in country, and quite frankly, the government needs that mine to go into production as soon as possible.
What do you see happening to Rio's share price if production does begin in June, as forecast?
Well, I have to be honest, we don't follow Rio particularly closely. That falls outside of our investment universe. We are a shareholder in Turquoise Hill, the Rio Tinto subsidiary that owns 2/3 of the Oyu Tolgoi project. I think that stock has been grossly oversold. We've seen it recently at almost historical lows of below $7 US. I think for investors that are interested to invest in the world's fastest growing economy in the world, which will be one of the largest resource exporters in the world, this is a fantastic opportunity to gain an entry point into that market. And my own expectation is that we'll see a significant uplift in the share price of Turquoise Hill as we approach commercial production, and of course once the mine is producing.
What gives you confidence that the Mongolian government is going to be fundamentally different to that of Zimbabwe, which repossessed and seized mines and forced foreign miners to hand over 51% control to locals?
I think Mongolia is very, very different. It's difficult to draw parallels between different countries like that. Mongolia is really emerging from 700 years of oppression and then occupation. It's a very small population. It has a massive resource endowment. The clear consensus in Mongolia, and it's a bipartisan consensus, is that the country is heavily reliant upon and dependent upon foreign investment in order to achieve its growth and development goals.
Is that not
That's
exactly the same? With respect, that is exactly the same as the Zimbabwe story, emerging from decades, if not centuries, of colonial rule, a new regime, an emerging economy, and they seize control. How is it materially different?
Well, I'm certainly not a Zimbabwe specialist. It's not something that I watch particularly closely.
No, but you said it was materially different.
Mongolia is a... Well, Mongolia is a functioning, albeit fledgling democracy. That's, I think, the first part. I mean, the fact that it is a landlocked country, massive resource endowment, wedged between Russia and, of course, the world's largest commodity consumer. It is a business-friendly government. The government is welcoming of foreign investment. We have invested in a number of sectors across the economy beyond mining and resources. And I really don't see the threat that you reference may be similar with Zimbabwe.